What do you first notice when you play a new game? Is it the way the movement feels? What new mechanics it has? The visuals? One thing I know most of us don't notice is the tiny given mechanics that every game has. Game mechanics are really fun to design, especially if they're unique or appear only once in the game. But there are some mechanics that are basically mandatory. Even if they're not as fun to design, if they were missing, it wouldn't feel like a game anymore. I'm talking about stats, cooldowns, and most importantly, health bars. In this video, I wanted to fix just that. Hello there, I'm Mysteries. I'm building a 2D multiplayer fighting game in Unreal Engine 5 and forcing my UI to finally catch up with the systems. So far, I'm very satisfied with the way we damage actors in the game. We have a damageable interface, a hitbox system, and enemies that slide their way into range. But health bars are a given. Whether they're sitting in the corner of the screen or floating above every character's head, it's a detail I don't really care about yet. What matters is that they exist. Previously, I talked about the ability selection system, but behind all that code sits a widget, and that is exactly what I needed again to help me with cooldowns and the health bar. So to start things off, I created a new combat widget. I named it like that on purpose in case I decided to add other combat related HUD elements later. After struggling to understand how big this health bar would be on screen, given I am being shown a dozen different sizes, I finally committed to one size for the health bar and slapped it on the screen. I really wanted to place the hotbar and HP bar on a canvas panel first. That's what I did in the past, only to find out that no, you cannot just magically add a canvas around things after the fact. And for some reason, I was inexplicably lazy about it. I didn't want to delete the HP bar and add it back in. Of course, I eventually did exactly that. For the logic, I created a quick function that gives me the percentage of my HP relative to my max HP, and I bound that to the progress value of the bar. In theory, it's simple. You take the current health, divide it by max health, get a number between 1 and 0, and that's exactly what the progress bar wants. 0 means empty, 1 means full. That was the plan. But as always, almost nothing works first try for me. And yes, this is the first time I'm making a health bar. Can you tell? Instead of dividing current health by max health, for some reason I decided I wanted to modulo them. Why? I have no idea. Even watching this back, I'm more confused now than I was then. Once I stopped trying to be special and divided the current health with the max health, the bar finally behaved like a normal health bar. Simple health bar done. Now I wanted to make an ability cooldown system. My goal for this was to show in a clear way that an ability was on cooldown and how much time it had left. I had the whole thing mapped out in my head. For that, I had to revisit my hotbar widget again, because after learning about the progress bar I used for health, I realized it's the exact same concept for cooldowns as well. So I added a new progress bar on top of each ability slot, covering the icon. Each slot would calculate its remaining cooldown relative to its max cooldown and use that as the progress value. At 100% cooldown remaining, the overlay is still fully filled. As time goes down to 0, the bar empties and the ability becomes ready. On the code side, I tie this into my update cooldowns function in the BP player. Every tick, as long as an ability is on cooldown, that function does the same thing. Take the remaining cooldown, subtract delta seconds, clamp it so it never goes below 0, and write that back as the new remaining cooldown. So if an ability has a 5-second cooldown and 1 second has passed, remaining cooldown is 4. The slot widget then simply subtracts the max cooldown from the remaining cooldown and sends that to the progress bar. But you might be wondering, what are these delta seconds I just mentioned? Delta seconds is just how many seconds passed since the last frame. Think of it like boiling an egg for 5 minutes, with a weird timer that doesn't tick every second. Sometimes it updates after 0.4 seconds, sometimes after 0.9, sometimes after 0.2. Every time it updates, it tells you how many seconds have passed since the last time you looked. Delta seconds is just how many seconds passed since the last frame. But of course, I somehow fucked up this system as well. You might be wondering where I went wrong this time. Well, I could no longer see my abilities on the hotbar. No matter how many abilities I had, they wouldn't show cooldown or not. I first wanted to check if they would at least go on cooldown by showing it on the screen. By this point, you might come to the same conclusion I did. Is the progress bar just sitting on top of my icons and hiding them? And yes, that was exactly what was happening. The overlay was fully opaque, filling the slot and completely covering the ability image. After playing with the fill color and opacity of the bar, giving it a darker look and then lowering the alpha, it finally worked. At full cooldown, the slot is dark and semi-transparent. As the cooldown goes down, the dark overlay shrinks away, and the icon underneath is always visible. Some of you might have noticed by now, or some of you might be completely new here. But the way I implemented cooldowns is very rough around the edges. Right now, I'm applying the cooldown system to slots rather than to individual skills. If slot 1 is on cooldown, the thing inside it is on cooldown. It works for now, but it's not very future-proof, and I do plan to eventually tie cooldowns directly to abilities. Since I began working on this project, the only skills I actually implemented were projectiles. That's mostly because they're easy to implement. I was browsing the Unreal Engine 5 store looking for some free placeholders packages that I can use. And I saw an aura one that made me think, my game will have auras, how would they work? So I decided to briefly make an aura whose entire purpose was to give me speed. Why? Because at the time it just seemed cool. The whole purpose of making a game is to make something fun. If the process of creating it is not fun, then your passion cannot be seen through the project. The way the aura worked was simple. When I pressed a skill, it multiplied the character's move speed by a certain amount for a fixed duration, and then it ended and put the speed back to normal. The aura skill made me realize that I should start working on stats, since I want to start manipulating these values. If someone were to tell me the thrill you get seeing your systems come to life, values changing, and the character actually reacting the way you planned, I probably wouldn't have believed them. My game will have multiple classes, each with their own stats, and the system that I cannot wait to design is the class combination system. But before that, I need to lay the groundwork, and that is where stats come into play. I honestly didn't need to show this entire process, because it's quite simple. But since this was my first time doing it properly, I figured why not. I started by creating a stat structure that can be reused for every class. Then I added it to my existing class table, so each class entry has its own stats row. I wanted health, speed, attack power and defense at the start. After that, I created a function that runs as soon as the initial class is chosen. It looks up the class in the table and sets the character stats based on what you picked. Max health, current health, base move speed, attack power and defense. Then I modified the applied damage logic to actually use defense, so incoming damage gets reduced based on the defender's stats. If you're tanky, you take less damage from the same hit. You might be wondering why I did not do the same for attack damage yet. The simple answer is I haven't decided what I want my combo damage to look like. Do I want every hit in a combo to do the same damage? Do I want early hits to be weaker and the finisher to hit like a truck? Once I figure that out, I'll hook attack power into the combo damage calculations and let the class stats actually matter there as well. Once I figured that out, I'll hook attack power into the combo damage calculations and let the class stats actually matter there as well. I know that there was not much to explain when it comes to the creation process for anything that I have shown in this video, but I genuinely think that at times the simple systems and effects are overlooked, assuming that they are easy to implement. So I wanted to show what I personally went through to get them working. I do plan for the next video to have something a bit more exciting. If you like this kind of devlog where I actually show the systems behind the game, the problems I ran into, and the stupid situations that I get myself into, stick around. And if you have any feedback on the systems that have already been built or the layout of these videos, please let me know down below.